Hi, this is a short follow-up video to the week 8 class. A couple things came up at the end of class that I realized I needed to review. So first, the question about, so let's look at the assignment really briefly. You know, the idea is that we're setting up these two baselines, one in New York and one in your climate. And so, yes, I'm saying that I want you to pick the residential and the mid-rise 4A, which is climate zone 4A for both. So if you're in Phoenix for your second climate or you're in Timbuktu, I still want that to be the mid-rise 4A for the baseline for both because we want to. So imagine you had a modular building and you were building it at a factory. You put it in New York, you put it in Minnesota. We want to compare them as apples to apples. We're not changing anything. Now, then once that's done and we've got the baselines, we say, okay, how can I make the Minnesota building better? First thing I would probably do is go, well, I'm going to go change the envelope by just picking another template that's correct for my zone. Then if you go in and actually look at those templates and you're interested in that and you thought about it a little bit, you'll see that there's ways that they don't really have that much insulation and you could add insulation to it. You could see what effect changing those has, or you can just leave them as they are. But so you're starting in both climate zones or both baselines, New York and wherever your second climate is, with the same exact settings, and then you're optimizing. Second, if I one way to optimize, so we're saying, you know, we're starting off with um, zero point 0.9 and off on all sides. That's the baseline that we're saying, and we're setting it to. Let's just go and do it. I'm going to set it to residential, residential, like that. So that's my presets. I've got it on the ground. I'm ready to go. Um, if I'm now optimizing, and I don't want to just have because I could go okay. Now I'm just going to go zero point 0.4 for everything. Okay, that's something I could try to optimize, or I could say, no, I want to get a little bit fancier than that. I want to go to directional. I want to do zero point 0.4 everywhere except for in the south 0.9. That's one way to do this. But you could say, no, I want to have something completely different. I want to have low windows on the north and high windows in the south or something. I can do that by, if I change this, I'm going to change this to uniform. This is just so I can turn off all my windows because I want to start with no windows. Now, if I come in and I say, um, and I've created a south and a west over here because I'm going to put glazing on two different facades. So let's say I want to add a window over here on the south side that's kind of high. Maybe even I'll just. So I'm going to add this as a window. So I'm going to put it on a different layer just so I have control over it. And I'm going to put another window over here on my west side. I'm going to do it low. Or maybe I'll go to the north because I'm not even going to run these simulations, so it doesn't matter. But and I'm going to put this on. I'm actually going to change this name to north since I put this in the north. Okay, so now I've got these two surfaces that I want to make windows out of. If I now come into, I select this window, um, and I add it as so the way to add a window is this second tab next to the zones. I can give it, let's say I'll keep this as the default glazing. Now I can add this window. And by the way, I didn't actually have to pick these zones here because I mean these layers because the model knows where to put it. But if I was also daylighting, I might want to be able to change. So I might want them different layers, but whatever. So now I've got two different glazings, and I can edit each of these separately. So this one I could change to some completely different glazing than this one, and now I can run a simulation. So I can customize my window settings however I want, but I can't do both. I can't have both the window to wall ratio and the custom windows. The other thing is shading. Very simple, but I don't think I gave an example of this. Let's say I want to do some kind of shading. Um, I just add a surface, put it wherever I want it, select it, and so, I probably would want, because maybe I want to have different types of shading, so maybe I would make a shading layer. But I'm just giving this as an example. It doesn't matter. I didn't spell it right, but okay, I'm going to put it there. Um, and I'm going to add this as shading, which means come in here and click this shading button. I add it as shading. It's added down here now, right? So I click on it. I click on this facade. It's there. If I click on shading, that's it. And so I don't have to add a material. It just if I call it shading, the simulation knows what to do with it. I think, something that has also changed. I think if I came in and added material to this on the shading um, and made it reflective or whatever, it's going to change it. But so I could say whatever. I could add a material and see if it had an effect. But there's a default material that comes with it, so you don't have to do that own thing. So I can add shading as part of my strategy. Um, the final thing is that you can't, I just saw somebody doing this, so I want to make sure you realize I can't go, okay, that's my first iteration. Now here's a second iteration. If I make this a zone, now I have, two zones here. When I run this simulation, it's running both of these, right? So that's not going to work. I can't get a bunch of these together, um, and just call these different simulation iterations because that's actually going to be collectively run as a thermal simulation with three zones that aren't touching each other. Okay, so that's the summary of the things that I think came up as questions that maybe generally everybody needed to know. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon.